we have a lot of other really disturbing things that no one's talking about. One of them is that for all the Biden talk of jobs, and they had a pretty depressing job report this quarter, I should say. And did you see this statistic that more foreign nationals were employed more recently than American citizens? Yeah. And if you go back to the beginning of the Biden tenure, you have almost no increase in the actual job rate of American citizens.
The U.S. job market is hitting a rough patch, and this isn't just a small bump in the road. It's a sign of something much bigger. Victor Davis Hansen, a well-known historian and commentator, breaks down why this slowdown in job growth is so important and what it means for the future of our country. In this video, we'll explore his insights and dive deep into the issues that many are overlooking. Victor Davis Hansen said the job market is starting to cool off. The unemployment rate has climbed to 3.9%, which is the highest it's been since January 2022. Wages aren't growing like they used to either. Average hourly earnings only went up by 0.1%, making it the slowest increase since February 2022. Hansen points out that the Federal Reserve's decision to hike interest rates has played a big role in this slowdown. While the economy is still moving forward, these high borrowing costs are making it harder for businesses to keep up the momentum. According to Victor Davis Hansen, one of the most troubling aspects of this economic slowdown is the behavior of young men aged 23 to 40. Hansen observes that many of them are not getting married, buying homes, or starting families. He believes this is a major factor in the nation's declining fertility rate. Hansen challenges us to look around at our own families. Are there fewer grandchildren in the family than there were a generation ago? If so, this trend might be playing out in your own life too. Victor Davis Hansen said that we might be witnessing the rise of a lost generation. These young men are not entering the workforce, and the consequences are more serious than we might think. Without jobs, these men are missing out on the chance to contribute to society and build stable, fulfilling lives. Hansen worries that this could have a ripple effect, not just on the economy, but on the social fabric of the nation.
In my immediate family and larger circle of friends, there is a particular profile of a young man between the ages of 23 and 40. And they are not getting married. They are not buying a home. Of course, they're not having children. And they are largely responsible for this precipitous drop in the fertility rate. And I think every family, if you're interested in this question, just take your parents and then your siblings and say, if there's two of you, did you have 4 grandchildren from your parents? And if you had 4 grandchildren, did they have 8? And did they have 16? And when you do that basically too, I don't think you're going to come out. I looked at mine and it was like 1.2. So it's a problem. And there's a lot of statistics that we don't talk about. In addition to this alarming rate that we have this lost generation who's not working.
Another worrying trend is that more foreign nationals are finding jobs in the U.S. than American citizens. He points out that under the Biden administration, much of the job growth being celebrated is actually going to non-citizens. Hansen raises an important question. Why aren't more American citizens filling these jobs? He suggests that this shift could be due to a combination of economic and social factors, but it's definitely something that needs more attention. Victor Davis Hansen said there's more going on here than just economics. He believes that cultural changes are also at play. For example, the widespread discussion of toxic masculinity might be driving young men away from traditional responsibilities like working hard, getting married, and starting families. Instead, Hansen suggests that many are retreating into video games and other distractions, avoiding the challenges of adult life.
We have a lot of other really disturbing things that no one's talking about. One of them is that for all the Biden talk of jobs, and they had a pretty depressing job report this quarter, I should say. And did you see this statistic that more foreign nationals were employed more recently than American citizens.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the beginning of the Biden tenure, you have almost no increase in the actual job rate of American citizens. And most of the new employment that they're boasting about came to foreign nationals, which I guess means that of the 10 million people they brought in, maybe half of them are working. I don't know. But that's disturbing. Another disturbing statistic is there's 17 million out of 330 million, not a lot, but 70 million people that are not working. I haven't taken a day off when I had that for 1 year, nor this 11.
Right.
But I only say that not to brag, but because I was fortunate enough to have a job where I can work from home, or I can drive over to Palo Alto and walk around and talk.
Right.
But boy, when I see people out yesterday shaking almonds in a machine for 12 hours, or I see people landscaping and mowing, and I see plumbers and roofers, what do they do when they get this stuff? Because I can tell you, you can't walk hardly, and you're dizzy, and it gets worse if you don't take some time off. And so there's 17 million of them. And what would you do if you were a nurse? And what would you do if you were a cook? And so it's something that, the government really needs to look into, and they really need to look into why American citizens are not taking jobs and why foreign nationals are. And they need to look at males, mostly, not all, but it's mostly males who are not plugging into the workforce. And there's a lot of explanations. Is it all of the propaganda about toxic masculinity and they just retreat to their video games? Something's going on, because they do not want to get up out of bed at 5 a.m. and say, you know what, I'm 22 years old. It's about time for me to get married. I'm 25. I'm going to have a child. 27. Hey, I'm going to get that house of mine. I know it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But I think Donald Trump is doing a really good job. He's trying to address it. He's trying to say, we're not going to talk older people tax Social Security. We're not going to tax tips. That's good, as long as he says that he's going to pay for it. And he said there's a lot of ways to pay for it. And he mentioned ANWR, but you know what? With all due respect, when you look at the extra $2 million barrels a day, even if the price was up to $100, I think it's about 76, and you do, I don't know, 2 million barrels extra a day for a year at 100, we owe so much money now, is what I'm trying to say, that the $1.3 trillion interest on the debt, not counting the 36 interest debt, we just don't have the money to do it. And so when he says he's going to cut taxes, it's great, but he's got to come up with, where does the money come from? Yeah. Unless he thinks that it's a stimulant. And so all these people like myself that are over 65 that are on Social Security, I'll be 71 in 3 weeks. I guess we're all going to run out and say, wow, I don't have to pay a third on Social Security. I'm going to go buy stuff and build stuff and enlarge the economy, maybe. I don't know. And that new revenue will make up for the revenue that's lost when I don't have to pay taxes. But they've got to come up with a responsible adult way of, for every time they cut something, they add on, or they cut a tax, or they add on a benefit, that it's balanced with the revenue sufficient.
Yeah.
And if they don't, we're not going to make it. We're insolvent.
According to Victor Davis Hansen, the economic policies we're seeing today might sound good on paper, but they come with big risks. He's particularly concerned about the U.S. national debt, which is growing at an alarming rate. Even if we increase oil production or cut taxes, Hansen warns that it might not be enough to keep the country financially stable. Without a clear plan for balancing the budget, the country could be heading towards insolvency. Hansen said that Donald Trump is trying to tackle some of these issues head-on. For example, Trump has proposed not taxing Social Security or tips, which could help many Americans. Hansen agrees that these ideas could be beneficial, but he also stresses the importance of finding ways to pay for these tax cuts. If the government cuts taxes without figuring out how to replace the lost revenue, Hansen warns that it could make the national debt even worse. According to Victor Davis Hansen, what the U.S. really needs is a responsible, balanced fiscal policy. Every time the government cuts a tax or adds a new benefit, it needs to make sure there's enough revenue to cover it. Hansen emphasizes that without careful planning and adult decision-making, the country's financial situation could become unsustainable. It's crucial, he argues, to address these issues now, before it's too late. Hansen said that the challenges facing the U.S. economy are complex, but they can't be ignored. From the slowdown in the job market to the cultural shifts affecting young men, these issues are shaping the future of our nation. Hansen's analysis gives us a lot to think about, and it's clear that addressing these problems will require thoughtful and responsible leadership. According to Victor Davis Hansen, the time to act is now. If we want to secure a stable and prosperous future, we need to take these challenges seriously and work together to find solutions. If you found Hansen's insights thought-provoking, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you see these trends playing out in your own life? What do you think the future holds? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. We've got more deep dives into important topics coming your way, so stay tuned.